What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Once again, we are back for the My Team Journey episode number 31 for the Italian Grand Prix. Very excited for this race. I always go really well around here. We're coming off the back of, can you believe it, 3 race wins in a row. Can we get 4 in today's Grand Prix? We'll have to wait and find out. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in once again. Please leave a like and subscribe if you are new to the channel and enjoying the series. That would be much appreciated. So let's get stuck into it. Collecting last round's trophy. Thank you very much. Being the team owner, I can keep all the real trophies and hand the replicas to the factory for all my employees to look at. My trophy, not yours. Anyway, there's the results. 3 race wins in a row. Start of the season was a bit shaky. We did get an early podium at Miami somehow. But then, yeah, form dipped. And we picked it back up again. So we're absolutely on fire at this stage. Mark Webber, his form has been rather patchy, especially of late. Yeah, let's hope he can back up the performance of what this car can do now with some more upgrades going on the car. So we're quite limited, or we're getting limited on the amount of things that we actually can upgrade now. Most departments are Spec 2, and we're running out of Spec 2 upgrades to do. We are, yeah, we're just running short of things we can do. So we need Spec 3, but Spec 3 facility upgrades cost upwards of $10 to $15 million, so it's going to take some time to do any sizable upgrades from here. So we'll do the major weight redistribution upgrade, and we rush that in, so hopefully that'll have some sizable effect heading into the next few races. But speaking of sizable effect, Daniel Ricciardo has dropped a bombshell on the Formula 1 paddock. He is retiring from the sport at the end of this season. Daniel. There's still so much for him to give in this sport, but after being removed from McLaren, changing from McLaren to Alfa Romeo this season, he's opted for retirement and other challenges in life. So fair enough, fair play. I respect that decision. Let's see if he can go out the bang this season. But yeah, if you ever feel like Daniel, you want to come back to the sport, then there's always a seat waiting for you at Marduk Motorsport. Anyway, we have some weather waiting for us for the Grand Prix. 78% chance of rain for the start of the Italian Grand Prix here in Monza. And that really throws a spanner into the works because this is a very high-powered track. And we want to run pretty much 0-0 wings around this circuit. That's what all the time trial setups are using. And yeah, I don't really want to crank on some downforce if it's going to be raining, so it's going to be a tough one. Anyway, upgrade-wise, we pull away from Alfa Romeo, Haas, Alpine. We've really gone nowhere over the last half a dozen races, and they're getting overtaken by everyone. You know, start of the season, Alpine were mixing with the best, and I don't know where their head's at with development. Are they completely focusing on next year? It's not like they were in a bad position to start with, but regardless, they're in the mud, and we're just accelerating past everyone in the midfield, which is lovely to see. But it's time for quali for the Italian Grand Prix. Alright then, time for the Italian Grand Prix. Second race being sponsored by Porsche. Or shall I say Porsche? Mate, I've lived on this earth for nearly 30 years and I've been saying Porsche the whole time. It's very hard to shake old habits like Sebastian Vettel. Sebastian Vettel. Either way, at least I don't have to worry about that in about 3-4 months' time. Regardless, we are away for our first qualifying session of the weekend. You can see, yeah, we have gone for the aggressive dry qualifying setup. It will dry out for the back end of the race, so we're kind of taking a chance here in not going for a wet setup. If it was any other track, I probably would go for a wet setup, but it's Monza. You want low downforce anyway, so we are going with 0-0 wings, and we're just going to deal with it in the race. If there's a late safety car, if there's any kind of safety car that'll bring us back into it, then we will be fast towards the end of the Grand Prix. Who knows? I might be just waffling for nothing, and the dry and the wet setup might be, you know, very compatible either way. But we ran the last corner for what is our second lap, and we go into the 18s this time. So that's a decent improvement there. We still need to find more time. Not really sure where to find it, to be honest. We don't seem to be able to have the front running pace of the big boys at this stage. We are running on 108 difficulty for qualifying. The AI are always a little bit faster in quali and slower in the race slightly. And as promised, I will be running with 110 difficulty for the Grand Prix itself. But wow, we are really struggling. P19 in this qualifying session so far. 1.7 seconds off the pace. My teammate Mark Webber, some 9 tenths away from pole position himself. So it looks like the car isn't really suiting this circuit either. And I can't really hold a candle to my teammate's pace. But let's see if we can pull something special out in the final 7 minutes of this qualifying one session. We are being kept in somewhat decent company. Ocon in the Alpine is a little bit slower than us performance-wise in that car. So that's all right. Norris is in a much faster car. So what's he doing down in P19? Remains to be seen. Through the last corner, we improved by 5 tenths, 6 tenths. Do I hear 7 tenths as we approach the line? Yes, I do. 18.7, which is not 7 tenths better. It was only 2 tenths better. Nice delta lying to me. We improved by another 10th following lap. We return to the pit lane for another set of tyres. Mark Webber in P11. We still need to find another 4 tenths to be in there in the mix with our teammate. If we can find just 1 tenth, then we're in safety and we find another 5 or 6 positions. It is so close in this midfield that all these tiny differences will make a massive impact in terms of our weekend. We can ill afford to be knocked out in Q1. We don't want to be starting from the back in a wet weather race. Different story if it's dry and there's DRS, but if we're starting at the back in the wet, then overtaking can be quite difficult, especially if the setup is not ideal. Either way, let's think positively. Let's get ourselves into Q2. We're up by nearly a 10th as we round just the first chicane, so we're looking pretty good for some improvement here. The back end of the session is always where you're going to find the greatest yields out of the circuit. Tracks is nice and gripped up. We've got our eye in, and you know, we're constantly adjusting small little bits of the car to just extract a little bit more performance. Either way, we're up by 2 tenths as we round the middle sector. Hopefully the delta is not broken. That would upset me greatly. We're up by 1/4 of a second through the Ascari chicane. I probably could have rotated a little bit nicely through there. Got on the power nice and early. But still, we lose a little bit of time compared to our previous best. It was a really good attempt last time out. Through the last corner, you can see the lack of downforces affecting us there. But we're so fast in a straight line. We make up all the delta as we approach the line. 3/10 improvement. But unfortunately, well, we haven't beaten our teammate, and we haven't made it through to qualifying 2. We miss out by 0.03 of a second. That is brutal. If we improve by 1 or 2 tenths there, we're in P13. And we see ourselves through to the next part of qualifying. We are out of qualifying for the Italian Grand Prix. We have beaten a Mercedes of Sergio Perez. Lando Norris was down there in P18 as well in the Ferrari. So Tifosi are a little bit disappointed with that performance, I'd say. But yeah, some real head scratchers for myself, Perez, and Norris. 3 drivers, 3 cars, which really deserve to be in Q3, and we're going to take no further part. So it's going to be an uphill battle, this Italian Grand Prix. We have won the last 3 races in a row, so with that in mind, we have to run maximum difficulty, even if the setup may not be fully suited to these conditions. This could be very tricky. Hopefully it's not. There we go, 110, crank it on, and let's head to the Grand Prix for Monza. Let's hope we've got pace.
We're back in Italy once again for another round of the Formula One World Championship, and what a great race in store for us today here at the oldest circuit on the calendar, which hosted its first race all the way back in 1922. With the rain coming down here at the 3.6-mile Monza circuit, the low drag setups preferred by most teams could cause them some problems in today's Grand Prix. So watch out for cars struggling for grip around the curve of Michele Alboreto. That is the Parabolica to you and I, and the last, most demanding of the track's 11 corners. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Max Verstappen put in a fantastic lap yesterday and he'll start from pole position. And it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Considering the rest of the grid we have Hamilton, Fernando Alonso, Robert Schwartzman and Magnussen, Russell, Ocon, Albon and Pierre Gasly, Mick Schumacher, Sainz, Nicholas Latifi and Stroll, Ricciardo, Norris, Mark Webber, they've taken a grid penalty, and Benjamin, Perez, Oscar Piastri, Tsunoda, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty, and Guan Yu Zhou. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. Anthony Davidson is alongside me as usual for the race today. Now I want to talk to you about Carlos Sainz. Looks as if they have a tough race in store today, as grid penalties from changing power unit components has forced them further down the grid.
Everyone has to deal with penalties or reliability issues from time to time throughout their career. You just have to suck up the pain and get on with the job at hand. Today isn't about performing a miracle to put the car back where it should be. It's about effective damage limitation.
Right then. It's not been a good start to the weekend for Marduk Motorsport. Mark Webber as well getting a grid penalty. So he's in 17th. We're in 18th to start this race. And it's just not an ideal scenario. Wet race, harder to overtake, harder to get through the field. Let's hope that Mark can be absolutely electrifying in these changeable conditions. I still think we're possible of getting P3 in the Constructors. I know you guys have multiple times have said this is a pipe dream, but I still believe, especially with the amount of wins we've been getting, and if we can continue to get podiums, then anything's possible. We just need our teammate to follow us through. So Mark, I hope you've got something special lined up for this race. Follow me through, son, and I'll pave the way. So let's see if we can pull off some kind of a comeback drive. We've got some very fast drivers around us. Let's follow the likes of Perez and Norris. Get through these midfield drivers. If we make the switch to dry compound tyres at the right time, then honestly anything's possible. Just remember back to Malaysia, Mark. I know you've never forgotten it. Nearly 9 years ago. Never stop believing. Either way, here we go. Ready for the start of this race. In terms of strategy, I think we might just stay out on the intermediate tyres until the rain stops. That might be a good strategy in terms of getting some track position back in this race. 5 red lights, and we are underway for the Italian Grand Prix. Can we get 4 race wins in a row? Hasn't started very well, has it, as we get overtaken by the likes of Perez, Piastri, Tsunoda. Do I hear Guan Yu Zhou as well? Yes, we do. Heading into turn 1, we pretty much take all the positions back, and then some, moving ourselves up in a P14 as we go around the outside of Schumacher. Can we lay down the power nicely? Yes, we can. Up into overtake. It's so oversteery with a lack of downforce, it has to be said. We couldn't add any rear wing to the car. If I had my choice, though, we got a yellow flag. Someone's gone off. We'll have to wait and see who that is. They might be in front of us. It is a Ferrari of Carlos Sainz. So Ferrari are absolutely in the mud in this Italian Grand Prix. Carlos Sainz goes straight back into the rear end of that Haas there. Loses his wing, goes in the gravel trap as well. And I think he's beached. I think he is out of this Italian Grand Prix. That is disaster for Ferrari. We crack on, and it's P13 for us. So not a horrendous start, it has to be said. Carlos Sainz is out of the Grand Prix, unable to get himself out of the gravel. Did have damage as well. It was really an uphill battle from there. Mick Schumacher re-overtakes us there on the straight. The run into the Ascari chicane. He goes defensive into Ascari, which is absolutely horrible for carrying any minimum apex speed. And we get a track limits warning, which is only compounding our issues. Norris going around our outside, heading into the last corner. Hang on a second. We're running... Well, we're not running 0-0 wings anymore, but we're running 3-0 wings. Are you telling me that the AI are running negative wings, because how are they faster than me in a straight line? This makes absolutely no sense. Nearly 3 wide as we head down into turn 1. We do manage to use a lot of overtake to keep the position, but here comes Latifi up the inside into the first chicane. Oh, that's messy. Bit of contact made at the apex of the corner, and that kind of drags us down into a lower exit speed.
Okay, no issues with tyre wear for now. Keep taking care of them.
Okay, no damage, thankfully for us, but that squabbling has really cost us a lot of time. 2.3 seconds is the gap from ourselves to Mick Schumacher, who only overtook us half a lap ago, and now we're in no man's land. But I think we've got bigger problems than our track position at this stage. Our lack of cornering ability is not helped by the fact that we're slower than the AI on the straights. So we're slower in the corners, we're slower in the straights. Where are we actually faster than the AI? The question is nowhere. Well, the answer is nowhere. Either way, we've got a spinner there. That is Lance Stroll spinning into the path of, I think, Mick Schumacher there, which was rather fortunate for us. Side by side into turn 1, as you see the replay here. He, just loses the back end. He just went almost full throttle at the apex of the corner and creates a nice little roadblock there for us, which enables us to gain 2 positions and lose the pressure of Sergio Perez. We squeezed through very nicely. I think Webber's been caught up in that, and I think he's got some front wing damage. Oscar Piastri has lost a wheel. He is out of the Grand Prix, and I think I see an Alfa Romeo there. That might be, it's not Ricciardo, that is Guan Yu Zhou. So, yeah, a lot of drivers caught up in that. The VSC has been deployed, but yeah, I'm not surprised to see the full course safety car after the stewards saw that Piastri was out. So, yeah, messy start to this Italian Grand Prix. I'm not going to lie, that safety car does help us in our efforts to, one, get to the end of the Grand Prix or get to the dry compound period without having to make a stop. But it also allows us to catch up to the next group of cars who absolutely left us for dead by virtue of, well, no pace and a lot of squabbling. So, yeah, we'll see what we can do for the back end of this race.
Inters look like the best tyre for now.
Inter's still the fastest tyre at this stage. I really wanted an update on when the weather was going to stop, to be honest, but that doesn't look like it's available at this stage. So it looks like the intermediates or the intermediate conditions are here to stay for the time being. It is going to be the majority of the race that the weather is going to be here. I think it's only the last quadrant of the race, maybe the last 5 or 6 laps, where it might potentially be dry compound tyre time. So yeah, we're going to have to be very patient on these tyres. We're getting ready for a restart here up into overtake, and we do get past the newly announced retiree of Daniel Ricciardo. Mark Priestley will not stop talking in my ear. Don't know if you guys can hear it, but that is really off-putting. Side by side as we head into turn 1. We're going to be inside of Gasly, Russell, Ricciardo, Tsunoda as well. And that's our second and final track limits warning for this race. One more, and we are absolutely in the bin there. But we managed to, well, sneak another couple of positions there. That was very opportunistic of us. We don't have any pace at this stage, so we've really just got to park our car in front of anyone we can in this race for any hope of points. But yeah, it's P9 ahead of Ocon and Tsunoda. You can see already Russell is leaving us for dead in that Haas, which is on the performance index slower than us. And look at, oh my god, look at this. And it's absolutely disgusting. How are these guys faster in a straight line when I'm running no downforce? It honestly makes no sense. I know you guys will say, oh, they're getting better exits, but there are corners, there are times where I'm getting an equal exit to the AI and still they're out dragging me. It's absolutely crazy. But yeah, we defend the inside from Ocon. He runs wide at the last corner. Tsunoda promotes himself up into the points. And let's hope we can defend for an AlphaTauri a little bit better. That's a mistake from Albon in the Aston Martin, which is rather unfortunate. That car doesn't really belong to be in the points, but he was driving such a good race up until that point. He's now in the bin pretty much, so unlucky. And again, that kind of lets me off the hook. Again, not the first, not the second, probably the third time in this race that a mistake from the AI has caused people to drop off the back of me and I can relax in this race again. Meanwhile, we've got Tsunoda, no, not Tsunoda, Guan Yu Zhou out of this race in the Alfa Romeo. And that could see another safety car potentially. Fast forward 1 lap, and still the Alfa Romeo has not been cleared. The safety car has not come out. And it is green flag running for the foreseeable future in this race. Russell has absolutely gapped us as well, by the way. Lap 11. And yeah, it's become quite apparent that we just don't have the pace of anyone. We're just about faster than the likes of Albon and Tsunoda behind us. But it kind of really takes a perfect lap for me to be able to pull away. Oh, that's Norris in the gravel. Again, another Ferrari is in the gravel trap in this race. Lando Norris was already in the bottom 15 cars or so. And that mistake has just compounded the problem for the Tifosi, for the Ferrari at their home race. It really is the curse of the home GP for these guys. Nothing is going their way. Meanwhile, back to the front, you can see the race leaders are in. This is Charles Leclerc, who was the race leader heading into this second phase of the race. You can see that's Robert Schwartzman in the McLaren. He's a good 5 seconds off of the Red Bull of Leclerc. The Red Bulls look very quick this weekend. They're really starting to mount a challenge to McLaren's supremacy in this championship so far. We inherit the lead of the Grand Prix. Everyone has made a stop except for myself and my teammate Mark Webber. If you remember, start of the race, he got caught up in that shenanigans at the first chicane, and he changed his wing, changed tyres on lap 3, and maybe he can go longer in this race. Maybe, for him at least, it's viable to stretch these tyres to the end of the Grand Prix, or at least for another 5 laps. I'm praying. So let's see if that can be the difference. If my teammate can go straight onto dry compound tyres as well, like I'm planning to do, then we could be looking at a very favourable result for Marduk Motorsport. This is not the way we planned it, but hell, if it works out, if we're at the top step of the podium by the end of the day, then I won't care how we got there. Regardless, Leclerc closed the gap massively on this lap and is all over us on his fresh intermediate compound tyres. We're squeezing him. And he's actually taking to off the circuit to overtake me. That is an illegal overtake if I've ever seen one. He goes up the inside into turn 1, whether we like it or not. But I think the stewards need to have a look at that, because Daniel Ricciardo got done for that at the French Grand Prix 2019 for overtaking Kimi Räikkönen over the white lines. I was defending that white line, and Leclerc's just like, nah, I don't care about track limits. I'm overtaking. So I think a potential penalty needs to be looked at there for the Red Bull driver. But contact was made at that very high-speed part of the circuit. We kind of anticipated the road ending up the road for Leclerc, so we moved over pretty much at the perfect time. And there was no damage for us. A little bit of damage on that left-hand end plate for Leclerc, and it comes right there at the apex of that first chicane. So could we see a pit stop potentially for Charles Leclerc? He hasn't got a penalty of sorts, but maybe he's got some karma there with a potential front wing change heading his way. He has a little look up the inside into Lesmo 1. Lesmo 2, though, gets a bit of a swapper on and is unable to really capitalize on that closeness heading into the middle sector. So we might be able to hold on for now. Let's see if he makes a pit stop on this lap, but he's still very quick in a straight line, still very quick in the corners, certainly a lot quicker than us, so it looks like the damage isn't really affecting him at this stage. You can see just how much we're struggling, especially through the Ascari chicane. We need rear downforce through there to just be able to push the car through there. We're just so slow compared to everyone else, and then compounding it, we're still slow on the straights, which, again, makes absolutely no sense. In Spa, we were so fast in the straight line. We were running 8.5 wings. Today we're running 3.0. No one should be able to touch us on the straights, yet we're just vulnerable everywhere. We have to use ERS at pretty much every opportunity, defending the inside of the Ascari. We're just getting in everyone's way. We're absolutely parking the bus. It is working for the time being. We just about have enough straight line speed when we completely deplete the battery, but we can only do this for so long. We've been doing this for a couple of laps now, but our battery is really starting to drain now. We can only keep this up for so long. So let's see if the weather can go our way a little bit. Again, Leclerc goes off the track there. Still on the tarmac, but it's over the white lines, which is rather interesting. Leclerc defends the inside. We go round the outside at turn 1, turns to the inside for the second part of the chicane, and we take the lead of the Grand Prix once again. Still, we are in the lead of this race. I don't know how, I don't know why, but we're just about doing enough to defend our current track position. Again, contact at that chicane. Leclerc opting to stay out on his slightly damaged front wing end plate. Damage means a little bit less on this year's game, in this year's formula. The cars depend a little bit less on the front downforce and more on the ground effect, but that's a major mistake from Charles Leclerc from P2 on the grid. He's gone completely straight on at the Ascari chicane. It allows Verstappen to slide on through for P2, and he's using that absolute slingshot run from like 4th, 5th, 10th back to slot into the lead of this Grand Prix. How has he managed that? Now he's going round the outside of the last corner. We squeeze Verstappen for all he's worth, and still he keeps his foot in and moves into the lead of this Grand Prix. That is absolutely wild from the Red Bull driver. Now we've got to try and fight back if we can. In the slipstream, our battery is completely depleted. Up the inside, and again, we get the lead back. We get the lead back from Red Bull. It is now 2 of them against 1. I need my team. Where's Webber? He's actually made a pit stop recently. I'm going to get no help from him. Maybe the McLarens or a Mercedes can get in the mix here and try and help me in this race. We are just waiting. We're praying for the rain to go away to switch on to dry compound tires, where we are going to be fast. The DRS will be enabled. But in these wet weather conditions, we don't have any grip to carry any speed, especially through the high-speed corners. That is Hamilton who got his way past Verstappen on this lap. But I think along the way, he got damage in that process. So he's going straight back into the pit lane. And that's now 1 less contender in this race. We're getting ganged up on by the Red Bulls. 3 wide as we head down into turn 1. Verstappen swinging all over the place. He's got to be careful he doesn't swing into the path of his teammate as we go up the inside. Turns to the outside for this corner. But we got left actually quite a bit of room, all things considered. Considering there were 2 Red Bulls on my inside, I was surprised I didn't end up in a gravel trap there. So, that is absolutely wild. 3 wide into a chicane never works. But somehow, we managed to play fairly, or as fairly as you could probably hope. A bit of contact as you'd expect, being 3 wide, but somehow no damage. Absolutely no damage for myself, for Verstappen, for Leclerc. We've all got through. That is absolutely incredible. I don't know how Leclerc didn't keep the lead here. He just didn't get a good exit out of that second part of the chicane. He did have the inside, but yeah, he got the worst run out of all of us. So that was unfortunate on his front. We can see the 2 Red Bulls fighting away once again. The Alpines are getting in the mix with the McLarens. What is going to happen here? We are heading towards the end game of this race, and the track is not drying.
We anticipate an end to this rain in around 5 minutes. Inters seem to be the fastest tyre for now.
Okay, 5 minutes until the rain stops. That's when the rain stops. It will still be intermediate conditions for a good couple of minutes after that. We are looking like a fully wet race. We might get 1 or 2 laps of dry running here, but we're running out of tires in this race. 5 laps to go. Verstappen around the outside. Leclerc is following him through as well. We go super late under brakes, as we always have so far in this race, and it's proven to be effective. If not for that brake upgrade we did a couple of episodes ago, we'd be absolutely nowhere in this race, defending the inside. In fact, I think we're actually looking for more wet parts of the circuit just to keep the tire temps down. We are running with simulation tire temps in career mode, so it's very important to keep those in check. Leclerc makes a big mistake, and again, allows Verstappen to go on through, heading into the last corner. Here we go, side by side. Oh, Verstappen's gone straight on. I think he's locked up and he's carted us wide. Leclerc goes through, and Red Bull have orchestrated their driver to get into the lead of this race, and this is how. You can see Verstappen going up the inside. I think he's just overcommitted under brakes, carted us wide. Leclerc just takes a clean line in and says thank you very much for the lead of the race. That's probably the last thing Verstappen wanted in this race, because now he's still stuck behind me, and Leclerc might potentially run away with this race. We'll have to wait and see. There's the replay once again, back to live pictures, and you can see Verstappen is still going to line me up for an overtake on this start-finish straight, even though he got the worst run out of anyone on this straight. Such is the speed of the Red Bull. Leclerc is too far away heading into the chicane to do anything about. And I think that might be game, set, match for the victory of this race. Unless weather has something to say about it. We're going to have to hope that there's a switch to dry compound tyres coming. And the AI, I don't know, are stubborn. Don't come into the pit lane for dry tyres. But the track is taking a long time to dry. It's still raining. It's still raining. There's 4 laps to go. I don't think dry compound tyres are going to be a thing, unfortunately. Either way, a slight moment of fortune as Fernando Alonso putting a lot of pressure on Max Verstappen. Schwartzman got through on Verstappen as well. So that bought me about a lap's worth of breathing room to charge up my battery. And now we have a McLaren on our tail. We went from being attacked by 2 Red Bulls to now we're going to get ganged up on by 2 McLarens. Absolutely love this. But all this battling, all this squabbling has allowed my teammate to actually catch up on much fresher intermediate tyres. So if we keep this up, then maybe my teammate will have something to say by the end of this race. Schwartzman going up the inside of Alonso. Hopefully they don't collect me, which could easily happen. They make contact at the apex of the first chicane. And yeah, I think it is Schwartzman through for P2. Massive moment there on the grass as we had a bit of a wobbly moment. But nothing too crazy there. We still maintain P2 for the time being. 1.5 laps remaining in this race, guys. And I can't believe it. We've been absolutely cream crackered by the Red Bulls. Been absolutely barged out the way. And Leclerc is going to steam on through for a over 10-second win. Here comes Verstappen round the outside into the last corner. I hope Schwartzman gives him the Verstappen treatment. Unfortunately, he doesn't. Verstappen round the outside. He's been supremely fast in this race. We head on to the last lap of the Grand Prix, and now it's going to be 3 wide down the start-finish straight. Somehow we've got to find our way back into P2. We're not on the podium anymore as we go up the middle. That's brave. We do manage to outbrake Schwartzman. We outbrake Verstappen. He was very courteous there, it must be said. I think you've got to be when you're on the outside of 3 cars. Heading into the first chicane, we get P2 in this race once again. And it's through no shortage of trying, no shortage of effort in this race. I've really thrown the kitchen sink at this race, guys. But we just haven't had the pace. We've driven so desperately. We've driven like a lion, trying to keep Verstappen away. We're, again, fighting away with Verstappen with half a lap remaining in this race, trying to squeeze him out like he did to us, which ultimately cost us the win in this Grand Prix. Who knows if Leclerc or Verstappen would have eventually gone on to overtake me. We'll have to wait, or we'll never know. But, yeah, I would have fancied my chances if that slight bit of unfortune didn't go our way. Either way, 1 more corner remaining. Here comes Verstappen for the final time, round the outside. And I think he knows exactly what's coming his way. Nice little squeeze to the outside. And that is poetry in motion. Verstappen denied a podium in the Italian Grand Prix. We get P2, which I'll take.
Yes, come on, we're on the podium. Good job this weekend. Great drive. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. At least he appreciates the podium despite the lack of pace.
Red Bull pulling out all the stops today. What a great win. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
Well, they certainly stood out as a driver with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
Red Bull are our winners today after showcasing some incredible driving. It's been a huge push from them lately to stay competitive with the other teams, and they're certainly proving themselves.
Well, fair play, Red Bull. Fair play, Charles Leclerc. They were so much faster than us. Leclerc was actually the class of the field today. He was leading by a long way by the end of the first stint, so it really was a deserved win. We were cheesing that race as much as we could. We were defending so hard in that race, and eventually something had to give. It was just a bit of misfortune. It was racing at the end of the day, yeah, Red Bull were able to break the stalemate, and from there Leclerc absolutely checked out. Nearly 15 seconds of a gap he built in those last, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 laps. That is unbelievable. We spent a lot of the whole race defending. We were, it was an uphill battle, that whole race. We made a mistake with the setup. We shouldn't have run 0-0 wings. What's even more baffling is my lack of straight line speed in that race. We had a fresh engine in for that one. No one should have been faster in a straight line. No one should have been out dragging us, but yeah, we were just slower everywhere. He was actually rather fortunate in the end that we did get P2 in that race, despite our lack of pace. We were probably one of the slowest cars in the field. I say that's a bit dramatic, but we were probably not even top 10 pace in that race. We just managed to salvage it all through doing a no-stop and getting our elbows out. So we drove well. We were very consistent. Our racecraft, I've got to say, was absolutely incredible to be able to, I don't know, pinpoint, to be able to just maintain position, to feather our way through some of those battles. We were 3 wide on so many occasions, and in most of them we came out on top and without damage as well. I think we really walked a fine line in that race between, you know, fairness and overstepping the marks. I think we really got to the limit of what was possible in that race, so I really can't complain. And as you heard over the radio, Mark was very, very happy with the result we managed to drag out of that race. Mark Webber got points as well, P9, in that car, in that scenario where he lost his wing on lap 3. So to be able to get points from that position is, I think, pretty remarkable as well. So there we go. That's been the Italian Grand Prix. Unfortunately, the winning streak comes to an end, but to be honest, it was bound to happen sooner or later. These AI are insane on this year's game. But there we go, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more racing game content. We are now P5 in the Constructors. Some 73 points away from Mercedes in 3rd, which we're trying to chase them down. So we'll see what we can do. We've got 4 races remaining. Mercedes didn't get any points out of this Grand Prix today. Neither did someone else. Ferrari didn't get points either, so it was a disaster for 2 big teams in the sport. And, you know, P4 in the Constructors is certainly possible if we keep up this level of form. So we'll keep grinding, we'll keep pushing, we'll keep upgrading. Eventually those upgrades will slowly come to an end, but hopefully we can keep piling them on for the rest of the season. Then we've got to think about what we do next season in regards to, well, many things. We'll have to potentially anticipate a regulation change. I think we might be due one, so we'll see. We'll make sure we're prepared for all scenarios. But guys, thank you so much for watching. That's been the Italian Grand Prix. We head to Singapore next, where hopefully we'll be on the pace like we have been many times before over previous games. So I'm expecting big things. Let's hope we can deliver. Until then, it's goodbye.